Welcome everybody out to podcast number 496. Today we're going to talk about how visual systems tie into a culture of total participation. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. I really hope that things are going well on your side. I've got two more podcasts to talk about total participation here, and I'm really excited about that. And so I want to go through today how visual systems tie into that. So first, we're going to go through some compliments here. Actually, they're not compliments, they're feedback for improvement and feedback. This is one from somebody who said, Jason's enthusiasm and commitment to improving our industry and the lives of those who work in it is inspiring. And I thought that was really nice. So I like to read these for people that send them to me. And it just really means a lot. So even if it's feedback for improvement. Oh, I will say, I told you on the last podcast that I was going to edit the podcast number 493, where I was referencing the Lady Gaga song. I just uploaded that for anybody who cares. I listened to it again. I'm like, oh, that's cringe. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, that's probably why I got that 4-star rating. Anyway, on we go. We're going to figure this out. So today I want to walk you through my concept of why visual systems are crucial to total participation. So we've already talked about the concept of total participation, why it's needed, how to create a culture with total participation. But once you have people that feel safe to participate together, and you have vulnerability to where they feel connected to the leader and the leadership, and then they identify with your purpose, then the next thing is, what do they do? And I realized, like I said, I've talked about this before, but I want to put this in order and put this in sequence. They have to know the plan. Everybody has to see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So that's the point. I talked about in a previous podcast, if you were to look at the percentages of how much of the plan people understood, would those percentages be high? And if you thought to yourself, well, they're pretty low and I want to fix it, then the next question would be, how do I fix it? And the how do you fix it is continually increasing your ability to communicate through visual systems. So I realized that parking, smoking areas, signage, how to get water, where to get ice, where to go, where orientations are, conference room numbers, signage on the fence, deliveries, all of those things are important on the project site. All of those things are important. But here's what I want to talk about today, is that there are fewer things in construction that are more important than the leader's determination to get the information out of her or his head. I was in a conference. I was in not a conference. I was in a conference room in a meeting, looking at their conference room boards, and I actually took a number of really neat pictures. And as I was going through, I was complimenting them on how nice it looked, and the lean engineer that was dedicated solely to creating these spaces and supporting project teams was like, the hardest thing for me, Jason, is to actually get the project teams to communicate like this visually. I had to put up most of these signs. And so the signage, this was just for the foreman, but the signage had the weekly work plan, it had the roadblocks, and it had the percent plan complete for their last planner system, their PPC breakdown, their trend chart for their PPC, the variances by role, the variances by reason, their labor hours to date, their overdue RFQs, overdue submittals, overdue RFIs, and overdue roadblocks. And then on the wall, they also had the daily huddle agenda, the daily huddle guidelines, the inspection tracking schedule, the delivery tracking schedule, and like I said, their logistics maps and their phasing maps, their sequence maps, and all in this visual area was everybody able to see the plan for the day. Now, like I said, in addition to what the workers and the general public sees with signage out on the site, you could come into this trailer And for any functional area on the project, immediately know the status of how that team was doing. Let me say that again. You could come into this trailer and immediately know the status for any functional area for how that functional team was doing. And that is powerful. I remember a DPR leadership committee, I think, a leadership committee, leadership team member, management committee member one time saying, if you can't come into that trailer and within about 30 seconds understand the plan, then they don't have a plan. And I was like, 30 seconds, I don't know. That's pretty tight. But I was able in this trailer to come in and immediately within 30 seconds know the plan. And I thought that was powerful. So we have to get, like I've said in previous podcasts, the plan out of somebody's head. The trick for everybody, the project managers, is to get the plan out of the builder's head. The trick for the project engineers is to get the plan out of the builder's head. The trick for everybody on site, the lean engineers, is to get the plan out of the builder's head and onto visual systems. And we can't be afraid. My answer to this person when he said, it's just such a hard thing, I said, I wonder if it's the friction of just being able to format these things and then to plot them. And I think that it's a leader's job to reduce that friction, to get those visuals, to assign somebody to help with it, even if you have to outsource it, and then just to buy a plotter. I remember people saying in my past, well, we're doing a budget. We need to see if we can afford a plotter. How can you not afford a plotter? How can you not afford to have real-time information? Sorry. Still have a little bit of allergies. How can you not afford to communicate with visual systems? A plotter is not a plotter. A plotter is the ability to change the project leadership from 1 to 5 to 12 people to hundreds of people at a minimum to leverage the foreman. I mean, that's what we're talking about. So if somebody was like, will I spend $3,000 for a plotter? I don't know if we need it. No, that's not the right question to ask. The question is, will I spend the money to really make sure that everybody on the project site can participate with this project through visual systems? And again, I'll just say from a reinforcement standpoint, the traffic control should be beautiful. The signage for wayfinding should be beautiful. The signage on the fence should be beautiful. The fence should be beautiful. The screen should be beautiful. And I have posts on this on the YouTube channel, Lean Field, of an example of a really good project that does this nicely, right? Your parking should be visual. The parking line should be visual. Where to go for orientation or hiring should be visual. How to get ice and potable water next to the trailer should be on a visible sign. Where to go to the restroom should be visual. How to take care of the bathroom should be visible. When you come into the office trailer, the right to know area should be visible. The permitting area should be visible. All of the huddle systems, just like I explained inside the conference rooms, every single bit of information that somebody should need to know should be visible. Outside, where to put staging and actually the marks for where to stage should be visible. On the way to the project, which stair tower is open based on where we're doing work should be on a visible map so workers immediately see it. What requirements for the project should be visible to the forklift operator, the hoist operator, the crane operator. All of the deliveries that day should be visible. How to back into the dock and to the hoisting areas and to the staging areas should be visible. Every floor should be visible. How to operate the hoist and to stage and move materials should be visible. Everything should be visible. You should get in on the floor and see the access ways on the floor all taped out so people know not to put materials there. That should be visible. Where shutoff valves are on the floor, where benchmarks are on the floor, where fire extinguishers on the floor, where they are should be visible. Exits should be visible. Everything should be turned into a visible system. Anything that we know, think, do, say, or communicate, maybe a little bit redundant there, but any of that stuff should be turned into a visible system. And that is a really big task. It's a really big thing, but it's something that we absolutely get to do. It's something that we absolutely need to do. And it's crucial for us to get a job site to work together where they see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So my challenge to everybody for this specific podcast is please take the time to go do those things. Please take the time to transfer your systems into visual systems. Here's the measure of success. Let me tell you this: superintendents typically will not let people cover for them unless somebody else knows the plan. And a superintendent will say nobody else knows the plan, right? And so superintendents typically will not go do their doctor's appointments. They won't go home and coach Johnny's baseball game. They won't leave. They won't let anybody else close up the gates. I constantly hear people saying, I can't trust people to lock up the gang boxes. Well, okay, fair point. Sometimes we have things that happen like that. But my point is, if we have a team that knows the plan in completely visible systems to where everybody knows the plan, the laborer, the foreman, the project engineer, the project manager, the office manager, the project administrator, anyone, then if that superintendent can leave the project and know that through those visible systems, through the poka yoke, the quality in place, the quality checks that are through visual systems that trigger people to clean up or finish that last 5%, or to put things back, or to return that tool, or to complete that plan, or check that off, or close that gate. If everything is in a visible system and it's there, like right there in front of them as a quality at the source type mechanism, then and if the superintendent can then and is willing to then go do their doctor's appointments, coach Johnny's baseball game, and let the project engineer, let the foreman, let the field engineer, let the PM, let the project director cover for her or him, then you know that you have enough visible systems to where people can work in the system and not always have to rely on one person, the leader. And that is the measure of success. If you see people coming up to your huddle boards and figuring things out and solving problems for themselves, then you know you've won. And so I'm asking everybody to really leverage this concept of total participation and move in that direction to the point that you can say that you've achieved success. It's really powerful. If you don't do it, you're going to be on the phone all day, never be able to leave the project site. You're not going to get great productivity. But if you do it, then what you'll end up with is a lot of productive time, because everybody's lined out in your standard meetings, everybody's lined out with your visible systems, and everybody can solve problems on their own, with the exception of maybe a few. And you can go into the project site, and what you will see is that everybody will know what to do, and they will be doing it. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.